Words are cheap. Action is expensive. Talking about what you will do, what you should do, or what you could do has never built a business, never changed a life, and never produced results. Action does. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to get caught in endless conversations about goals? People gather around and talk about their dreams, their plans, their visions. They sound convincing, almost as if their talking was equivalent to achievement. But the truth is simple: the more you say, the less you do. Some people exhaust themselves in explanations, justifications, and promises. They want recognition before they've done the work. They want applause before they've run the race. But life doesn't reward intentions. It rewards execution. The world doesn't remember what you said you were going to do. The world remembers what you built, what you achieved, and what you contributed. Success is not in the speeches you make to others, but in the quiet hours when nobody is watching, when your hands are at work and your discipline is in motion. It's better to do a little and let your results speak loudly than to say a lot and have nothing to show. Your silence, backed with consistent action, will echo louder than any speech. Don't be the one who promises the world but can't deliver a brick. Be the one who lays a brick every day until a wall is built so strong that no one can ignore it. So, stop filling the air with talk. Let your work be your testimony. Remember, the more you say, the less you do. And the less you say, the more you can accomplish. It's easy to talk. In fact, talking requires almost no effort. Anyone can say, "Straplemsen, one day I'll start a business to have," or "Straplemsen fast that decisive," or "Tramusen, I'm going to get in shape the 10-10," or "Straplemsen next year will be my best year yet." Because too much talk drains energy, and energy is the very thing you need to turn dreams into reality. Have you ever noticed how people get excited when they announce something? They say, "Stating Gromsfield. So, to premium, I'm going to write a book to illustrate about to launch a new business." Their friends applaud. Their family nods with admiration. And for a moment, it feels like they've already accomplished something. But here's the trick: that applause is dangerous. It tricks the brain into thinking progress has been made. The satisfaction of saying it often steals the fuel needed to actually do it. Talking about goals in excess creates a kind of false harvest. You feel like you've planted seeds, but in reality, the ground is still bare. No crops are growing because you spent all your time talking about farming instead of putting your hands in the dirt. The truth is, energy is a limited resource. You only get so much each day. You can invest it into words or you can invest it into work. But if you spend too much of it on endless conversations, explanations, and declarations, there's little left for real execution. And then you wonder why progress is slow. Think about an athlete. Before a race, they conserve their energy. They don't waste their breath explaining every detail of how they'll run. They don't give long speeches about their training. They keep quiet, focus inward, and save everything for the track. Then when the gun fires, all that stored energy explodes into speed and power. The athlete knows that talk is a leak in the energy tank. Silence preserves strength. Now apply that to life. Every time you spend hours telling people what your turn isn't about to do, you're leaking strength. Every long explanation of your intentions is another hole in your bucket. By the time you finally sit down to work, you've got nothing left to pour into it. Here's the paradox. People think that talking about their dreams will hold them accountable. They believe that telling the world forces them to follow through, but accountability doesn't come from talk, it comes from character. If you can't keep a promise to yourself in silence, no amount of public declarations will save you. This doesn't mean you should never share your vision. Sometimes speaking it out can clarify it in your mind. But there's a difference between sharing enough to stay inspired and talking so much that you drain the fire. The key is balance. More doing, less saying. Speak only what fuels the action, not what replaces it. There's also another danger. The more you talk, the more room you leave for doubt and criticism. Every word opens the door for opinions, and opinions can distract you from the mission. Suddenly, instead of working, you're defending. Instead of building, you're explaining. And all the while, time slips away. Remember this principle: the best way to silence doubters is not with explanations, but with evidence. Not with speeches, but with results. And results require energy. Energy that must be protected, guarded, and reserved for execution. So what's the lesson here? Be intentional with your words. Don't waste your best energy in conversations that go nowhere. Don't spend your motivation on applause before you've earned it. Instead, let silence become your strategy. Let action become your answer. The greatest victories are won in the quiet. The world only sees the result when it's undeniable. Until then, keep your energy locked in. Protect it, channel it, because too much talk drains energy, and energy is the very thing you need to turn dreams into reality. People will forget what you promised. They'll forget the details of your speeches, your explanations, and even your intentions. But one thing they'll never forget is what you actually produced. Results are the true language of success, and they speak louder than anything else you could ever say. You see, words are fragile. They can inspire, they can sound good, but they're temporary. Results are permanent. They stand as evidence that you showed up, did the work, and delivered. When you have results, you don't need to defend yourself. And in the language of success, results are the only words that truly matter. We celebrate them because they broke records, won championships, and proved it on the field. In the end, the scoreboard of life doesn't record intentions, it records outcomes. Here's a hard truth: people listen differently when results are present. Without them, your words sound like noise. With them, your words carry weight. Imagine two people giving advice about money. One has only read books and talks about what they plan to do. The other has built a business, invested wisely, and created wealth. Whose words carry more power? The one backed by results. Because success gives credibility that words alone cannot buy. Results also bring respect. You don't need to demand it. You don't need to fight for it. When you show results, respect follows naturally. Why? Because results are undeniable. People may argue with your ideas. They may doubt your plans, but they can't argue with proof. They can't argue with fruit on the tree. And here's the beautiful thing: results don't have to be massive to matter. Even small wins send a powerful message. Each completed task, each step of progress, each milestone achieved. These are results, and they start to build momentum. They become your living testimony that you're not just a dreamer, but a doer. But results don't come to those who talk endlessly. They come to those who put their heads down and work. They come to those who are willing to sweat in silence, while others are busy making noise. And when the results arrive, they speak volumes, sometimes more than any speech you could have ever prepared. Let me give you a simple picture. Imagine two farmers. One spends his time in the village square, telling everyone about the harvest he's planning. He describes how tall the corn will grow, how sweet the fruit will taste, and how rich his land will become. The other farmer says little. He just works, day after day, tending to the soil, watering the crops, pulling out weeds. Months later, when the harvest comes, the first farmer has nothing but stories, while the second farmer has baskets full of food. The village doesn't gather around the talker. They gather around the one with results. That's life. You can tell the world what you intend, but the world will always gather where the fruit is. Because results attract attention, opportunity, and reward. So, if you want to be taken seriously, stop trying to impress with words. Impress with results. Build something, show something, deliver something. Then watch how the same people who once ignored you now lean in to hear what you have to say, not because your words got better, but because your results gave them weight. Remember, results are not just numbers or achievements. They are proof of discipline, proof of persistence, proof of character. They tell the story of what you've done, not what you said you'd do. And in the language of success, results are the only words that truly matter.